It's been an incredible journey. We picked the Arlington area, picked Arlington to house the National Medal of Honor Museum, which we think will be America's next national treasure. We picked that in October. So we've been here for a few months, and the outpouring of support has just been absolutely tremendous, from kids in schools to some of the biggest sports and corporate leaders in the area. Everyone is united behind the fact that this country needs a National Medal of Honor Museum.
I was asked to sing the national anthem at a dinner that Medal of Honor recipients would be at, and I did not want to go empty-handed. So I, in my head, said, well, I can ask a bunch of people to send letters to me and I will deliver them. And I did not know what that was going to evolve into. I used my social media and some radio shows that I'm on and said, adopt a Medal of Honor recipient, and boom, my P.O. box was full, and the people that manned it were a little bit puzzled what was happening, but that's how it all happened. Just kind of saying, well, I just don't want to go empty-handed. I fortunately was able to capture some of that on video, and just to see them have a pile of cards that's headed their way. I think it brings them back to the times when they actually were in mail call, like getting their mail from home, letters from home. It was sort of nostalgic for a lot of them. I know Thomas Norris, I have him on video kind of just seeing it all, and he was taken back by it. Because there are people that are young kids that are learning about him, and there are also people that served alongside of him or served under him. And that's the same for a lot of the recipients. And I just think that they deserve it, and it's also important for us as civilians who are saying, well, what can we do? You know, we didn't serve, but learn about what they've done and thank them for it. I have a few. I mean, there's one where I just remember a kid wrote, your mom must be really proud of you. But also there were some really touching ones. One came from someone who was incarcerated, and he wrote to Gary Lee Luttrell. And he thanked him with this beautiful letter, but also bought him his favorite candy bar from the commissary. So he used his money that he had while he was incarcerated and thanked him and said, I don't take it for granted the freedoms that you fought for.
If people go to our website, mohmuseum.org, they'll find a whole measure of ways to get involved, whether that's mail call, which is really terrific, whether that's just following our progress, or on Medal of Honor Day this year, March 25th, we're asking folks to take just a moment out of their day at 3:25 to take a moment of honor in recognition of those who earned the Medal of Honor. Also, you know, we have a large task ahead of us raising funds from the entire nation, and whether folks can give $5 or $10, it's really the idea of being part of something bigger than yourself, and especially for those that live in this area in North Texas, contributing now and watching our progress till when we open the museum is really, really special. You know, I was fortunate enough in my previous role as president of the National September 11th Memorial and Museum to meet Janine, and every time I've interacted with her and gotten to know her over the years, she just radiates an authentic patriotism and love of country. So when she told me about mail call and this idea of having people directly reach out and write these really heartfelt expressions and letters to Medal of Honor recipients, I knew it was a no-brainer. And the idea that now that we're building the actual museum, we will give a permanent home to the thousands of letters that are going to come once, you know, recipients will get them, and we'll have a place for these letters to be. They'll be part of history, part of what this country did to come together and build this museum.
Well, aside from the fact that I didn't have any more room in my basement to store all the letters that were coming in, I was kind of a little bit nervous. I think what really was important for me was that I was seeing a lot of this stuff, I mean, these beautiful works of art, these drawings, or just these beautiful letters, and saying, these belong in a museum. Oh, there is a museum coming. So it's just a natural fit, and I'm really excited that people now knowing that some of their letters may actually be on display. It adds a lot to it because it lives on.
We picked an architect. That's a huge milestone, and it's a great story. That the gentleman that won is an internationally acclaimed architect named Raphael Vignoli, and in some ways his own story embodies the American dream. He was born in Uruguay, and his family moved over here in the 70s, and he's really lived the American dream, worked hard. He's become this architect, and was just so overwhelmed with emotion when the board of directors picked him to design this. He's always wanted a commission, a project that would in some way give back to the country that's done so much for him. So we'll be unveiling those designs in April. And again, people can check on our website or go to our social channels to find out when those designs get released, what it's going to look like. And we really want the community to feel involved in this project. The first most important thing is March 25th in and of itself is National Medal of Honor Day. President Bush 41, put this bill and this day into law. And I think that one of the ways we're going to measure the success of this museum is for more people to understand that what that day is, and to take a moment of their time to think about those that are the best of the best. As far as the project's concerned, we have just, now that we picked the architect, we're entering what we call a conceptual design phase. So over the next few months, starting in April, we'll be rolling out the different aspects of the design. People will understand that this is not just a museum and an exhibition, but we'll really have a deep focus on character development and on education. We, of course, will be breaking ground actually next year, late in 2021. Our goal is to open this museum on Medal of Honor Day, March 25th, 2024. So there'll be lots of different things that happen, and we just encourage people to go to mohmuseum.org, get involved in Mail Call, and just become part of this effort that's going to make America proud. I think the most important thing is that when you learn about the Medal of Honor recipients, you understand that they are regular people, ordinary folks from cities and towns across this nation. And when they were put in circumstances that were unbelievable, they did the most brave, most passionate, most selfless thing. The recipients themselves will tell you that they want this museum not so much as in any way a tribute to themselves, although it will be, but from their perspective, what they want is this museum to inspire regular, everyday Americans to make the hard choices when they're faced with difficult circumstances in civilian life. So this is the perfect time where this country, which has been, going through a period of feeling divided, we can come together around the notion of what it means to be an American, what it means to give back, and we hope that this museum will make a little bit of an impact in that area. The Medal of Honor is, of course, our highest award for valor in combat that the United States awards, and it really signifies the ideals of what it means to be an American, what it means to do something on behalf of someone else. It's in the most extreme circumstances, and when someone does that, it's very special. In my former job as the CEO of the 9/11 Memorial and Museum in New York City, I've really understood that there's a lot of parallels between Medal of Honor recipients and what they faced and some of what happened on 9/11. To hear the stories of the firefighters that went into those buildings, many who came out and lost a brother that they served with, it really shows the best of who we are as Americans when you're willing to lay your life down for a friend, for a colleague, or for a stranger. And I think the Medal of Honor embodies the absolute best of what that can mean.
I think I've gotten to interface with so many recipients and gotten to meet them, talk to them, and just see the one thing I think that they would like everybody to know what it means to them is they are regular people, but made a choice to do something with their lives and to do something that was serving something bigger than themselves. And what they want is everyone else to know that they can do the same thing. Maybe we're not, over battling World War II, but there are things in their own community that every person can do. In fact, Theodore Roosevelt, who was one of our presidents, but also was a Medal of Honor recipient, he said a quote that I use all the time. I speak all over the country, and one thing I always tell people, what he said is, do what you can with what you have where you are. And a lot of times we're waiting for something in the package that we think our perfect way to give back is. But this right here is an opportunity, not only to say thank you, but to learn. I mean, some of their citations read like an action movie, better than some of the action movies. And it's important to note that this was real life. This really happened. So I think what I've learned from it is these aren't people that are so distant from us. These are people that are just like us. And we can make choices every day to do something that is meaningful and impacts potentially generations to come. So for anybody that wants to participate, whether you're an individual or you're in a group, you can go to mohmuseum.org. There's the big banner that tells you, click here to learn more, and it sends you to the site that will allow individuals to find out the address as well as the recipient database to find all the bios of all of the living recipients and to write them. And there's the mailing address to send all your letters in. And if you're a group, whether you're a teacher, you own a company and you want all your employees to get involved, you're a team, a coach, any of that, you can fill out the group form that's also on the page. When you get there, you just write how many people are in your group. If you have multiple groups, you can just say how many are in each group. Then you'll get an email within 24 to 48 hours from me saying who your adopted Medal of Honor recipients are. This enables us to make sure all recipients get a good amount of mail. And then just make sure you also put your return address. No guarantees, but you may get a letter back from a recipient.